All right. Hello, everybody. We're not quite sure how many people are viewing this as we speak. This is the first Apollo Q&A we've hosted in a while, and we really want to make an effort to bring it back on a weekly basis. So from now on, we will be hosting these sessions every single Friday at 1:30 p.m. Eastern. We'll have a bit of a rotating crew of participants, but today you've got myself, Mac, you have Nadim, our COO, and Chris, our CGO and co-founder as well. So the plan is really to give everyone a platform to engage with us on a weekly basis and reinforce the community that we've been building over the last few years. And we thought a great place to start today would be to build off of Nadim's post on Reddit a few days ago, which was really looking at what people enjoy about our service and what they don't enjoy about our service. And we'll be more than happy to share some of the plans that we have about how we're developing our team and all the incredible ideas and projects that we're working on as we speak. We've also received a handful of questions from participants that were expecting to see us live here today. So we'll tackle those at the end because we've got time and it doesn't look like there's too many last minute questions popping in. So guys, anything to add before we dive into the Reddit thread?
No, all good. Mine.
Cool. Okay. And again, we don't seem to be able to see how many people are live with us.
We have seven people live right now. I have that link open.
Hi. So if you want to drop some comments or anything like that, feel free to use the section on the right here and say hello quickly. They can see us. And we'll be happy to take your questions as well.
So yeah, I guess where to start? So the other day, I finally made a Reddit account. I was holding out on Reddit. It was sort of like the last platform that I haven't been on, but there's quite a lot of Apollo. There's quite a lot of members from the Apollo community on Reddit specifically, and I thought, like from time to time, there's like a Reddit thread that kind of gets sent to me on Slack, and I read through it. A lot of really interesting conversations that are taking place there. So I figured, probably time to hop in and start talking to some people directly to really understand what the experience of being on Apollo scooters has been like.
And maybe just a bit of context for people, like, as at Apollo, we do have, we have our Facebook groups, we have reviews that we always get good feedback from. Reddit is one that we haven't actually been monitoring super closely, and that is changing as of last week. We have a full team on it, and that's why we're all now much more actively engaged, because again, for some reason, we understand some people prefer going to Reddit before even coming to our support team to ask questions about their product and everything. And at the end of the day, we're here to help. And we feel that, again, that Reddit presence is super, super important. So you'll see a lot more of Apollo in this thread. We created a new sub-thread for Apollo scooters as well. So again, any questions, comments, product feedback, what you'd like to see, like, please, you guys are a source of truth, and we really want more interaction with our riders and our potential riders. And instead of turning it into like a directional group, it could be a group in which we just get a lot of good feedback and work on different ideas and help create better products for you. So yeah, we'll be much more active on Reddit, just FYI.
Yeah, I think, again, from the beginning, we've always wanted to be very engaged with the community and talk to customers. I think that really involves and informs a lot of what we do at Apollo. Like, we have our own ideas on things that we think are good ideas or things that we should be focusing on. But really, like, if we're not building services or products that meet our customers' demands, then and sort of what their needs are, then what are we really doing in the end? So Reddit, I think, was one of those blind spots where a lot of those conversations were taking place, and we weren't really listening or involved. So I'm excited that we're starting to do that a little bit more, and I'm looking forward to those conversations. I've been pretty active. I spent a lot of the past 24 hours on Reddit, which has been kind of cool. A lot of things that I didn't know that I'm learning as well.
We have a quick question from John. So John, for your Phantom V3 upgrade kits, we do have a setup video on YouTube, which helps for the full install, like very detailed. If there's any bit of this process that you're not sure with, please reach out to the team or just write us some notes. But with this video alone, like, we've had over pretty much 1,000 people install our Phantom kits without a problem. So if you I would highly recommend just having a computer or whatever and go step by step, take your time, don't skip any steps, and you should be completely fine. So yeah, if that's not detailed enough and you need a bit more guidance, please just reach out to us and we'll be happy to help.
I
Yeah.
think
Hi,
Chris,
Stephen. Hi,
what
David.
John is, if I'm understanding the question correctly, I think what John is asking is, can we make a new video that takes into account all the tricks and tips that our users have uncovered while installing their Phantom V3 kits, which is actually a great suggestion. So maybe that's something we can talk about after as well, and then put one of you guys on it. Yeah.
Yeah. Thanks, John. Appreciate that.
Hey, David. Hey, Stephen.
Hey, everyone. So yeah, I guess like just going back on the Reddit and sort of the community engagement side of things. So I decided to post a little topic. I guess start a discussion, and really the question was, first of all, obviously introduce myself to the subreddit, and then also asking if customers could identify a positive experience they have with support, and what is the reason behind that positive experience, and then also a potentially negative experience or an area of improvement for Apollo, and what they would like to see us to, like what they would like to see from us differently, so that we could kind of make that not a thing anymore. Some really, really, really cool insights from people who took the time to post, which is amazing. And really, I would say, like, you know, what kind of came out of that was a couple things. I think, like, first and foremost, the support. I think last summer we were seeing, you know, a lot of customers were frustrated with our support response times that were pretty high, way higher than obviously we wanted it to be. I think like a accumulation of factors that contributed to that, growing really quickly, seeing our ticket volume like triple, the kind of like, you know, the city issues that we were experiencing, the delays, then when they finally delivered, the hardware issues that came with that, on top of the regular volume that we already see. So it kind of got to a situation where it was a little bit out of control and we were a little bit behind. So, you know, people referencing that from last year, but then also, you know, identifying or at least seeing some of the improvements we've made since then. Like, our response time over the past 90 days has been 45 minutes on email and a minute on chat, which is really good, and sort of like where we would love it to stay forever, which is really positive. But fast resolution times are not the be all end all of good service, right? Like, just because you respond quickly doesn't mean that you've provided someone good service.
Solve the problem, yeah.
Exactly, right? So one of the things that we're really looking at doing a bit better is finding ways to get faster resolutions for customers. So not just, you know, getting an email being like, hey, I acknowledge your issue. Like, that's not really helpful. Like, yeah, great, but what are you gonna do about it? That's really what someone cares about when they reach out to support, right? So that's been front and center for the team. You know, we doubled the headcount from CX perspective to help us deal with the first response time, and then now it's a question of how do we minimize the number of interactions in order to reach a resolution. And the focus there really is looking at how do we include more direct interventions in order to minimize the back and forth, right? So things like phones have been something we talk about a lot. It's something we used to offer in 2021 that stopped offering in 2022 for various factors. We can chat about that in a little bit. But phones coming back is going to be a big kind of like push in that direction. We're starting to roll them out bit by bit, and looking at ways where we can have phones become more seamless across the support experience. We really want to do phones the right way. So we want to roll it out, obviously, in a way that's sustainable and in a way that is actually solving the problem. We don't want to be in a situation where, you know, spending an hour on hold with an agent. Like, no one wants that, right? So we're finding ways to sustainably introduce phones, reintroduce phones. And then also another pretty exciting one is video support. So
That's a big one.
yeah, video support's really cool. We have our first call with a customer in like 30 minutes, which is going to be really exciting. Exactly. So what is video support? Basically, it's an opportunity for someone who's having, you know, just an issue, a hardware issue, to get on a video call to first of all book, reserve a slot, and get on a video call with one of our agents or one of our technicians. And the main purpose is, within that video call, we want to find a resolution. We want to either fix the problem with the customer. We want to like say, hey, like, show us what the problem is. Okay, tighten this, loosen this.
Which, by the way, is the majority of inquiries, right?
For sure. And those are the ones that get caught up in that email exchange where it's like, no, send me a photo of this, but actually, no, I meant this other part. And it's like, just like all this back and forth, like sending photos is not really an efficient way of dealing with hardware problems. A lesson that we've learned the hard way. So that's one of the first resolutions is tighten or loosen and sort of just like adjust and tweak. The second one really being, if there's a spare part that needs to be ordered, facilitating that process and making sure that that spare part is identified and then ordered on behalf of the customer as well. Obviously, warranty covered, free, getting it sort of to the customer. And then if it's out of warranty, then kind of going through that process. And then the third one being, this isn't something that we can solve virtually or through a customer being able to fix their own scooter, and it requires a servicing option, right? So that's where our servicing centers in New York, LA, Montreal come in handy. And then also ARC's, our sort of partner network of other servicing providers. And that's a network we want to continue to grow. So this is really like the first step in video support.
So how would somebody go about getting a video support call?
Yeah, so right now it's more so because we're still sort of piloting it. It's going to be on the agent to send the request, essentially send the invite for video call. The guideline is really like, we want to limit the number of messages or interactions before that step takes place, right? So we're talking a bit about like direct interventions and identifying when is the time to just like resolve the issue, and then not kind of get into a situation where those. So for now, it's going to be a direct invitation from the agent, and then the customer will see the link. They'll be able to like book their slot, and then they'll get on the call. But the plan moving forward is to expand that. So that's front and center. So a customer, regardless of having contacted an agent in the past or not, can directly book a slot, an appointment, and hop on that video call. And then we start getting into like, I think where things get really interesting, because then can we find a way to facilitate virtual repairs
Through the app even, right?
Exactly, right? So really looking at, hey, I live in a city that isn't New York or LA or Montreal. I don't really have a servicing option nearby. I want to learn how to repair my own scooter. We want to be a resource for people who want to learn how to like maintain, manage, repair their scooters. Like it's an important skill if you use a scooter every day. Like we want to provide that information. We want to empower people to do that. So having direct access to our mechanics and doing repairs over the video calls as well would be super, super interesting too. So
yeah, it's a huge, and it's really interesting because the first time I actually witnessed the power of video support was when my own parents were setting up one of our scooters, and my parents live abroad, and they quickly hopped on a FaceTime call with Owa, and just witnessing the power of video support and eliminating the back and forth and just intuitively knowing what the other person is asking for and talking about. It's transformative. So I'm really, really excited about this project. So like Nadine said, we're piloting the first conversation in the first, in the next 30 minutes. But this is definitely something that I think want to emphasize, make more available. And ultimately, we even see applications that are not just for technical support, but maybe even pre-purchase, right? Like, I want to see what the scooter looks like. And you see what it would look like if I put, a 200-pound person on it, blah, 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 these types of questions, right? So huge applications, and definitely something that we want to roll out before the summer.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, like FaceTime with customers is really important, right? So finding ways to enable that, and again, rolling things out in a sustainable way is going to be important for us as well too, right? Like we want to make sure that if we are launching a new channel, we're able to support the channel fully. We're not falling into some of maybe the same traps that we've fallen into in the past by having to, because we've grown so quickly. I think now we're really in a position where we've built out a really solid team. They've had a season under them. We've kind of gone over some of the turnover that we experienced last summer. Agents have been working really hard on getting upskilled and trained. We've really like beefed up both our internal and external documentation as well. So just making sure that we're better suited as a team to solve problems, because we actually, it's kind of interesting, like we still find out about stuff from customers, like things that go wrong that we didn't really know about. So yeah, all the time we're like finding out more about our products, because again, it's super specific, right? Like you're using your scooter every single day, you're using it in a way that maybe is very different than someone else, or I don't know, like the conditions that you're using it in is so
their humidity is different, right? Like
exactly, like even small things like that, like with a very technical product like a scooter, and especially how advanced the scooters are getting, like those are things that kind of pop up and we don't always have the answers to, right? So documentation and making sure that when one agent deals with an issue and finds a resolution for that every agent now has the access to that information, is equipped to solve that issue if it ever happens again. So those are some behind the scenes things that we've been really focusing on over the past few months that I think are going to really set us up for more success down the line from a servicing perspective or from a support perspective.
Yeah, another interesting kind of project that's been happening behind the scenes. And John, this is going to answer your question about, why not put up spare parts on Amazon and stock them at Amazon warehouses. Where we have a two-pronged approach to the subject of spare parts. The first one is we are working on listing all of our spare parts in a much more clear and intuitive way on our website, so that you can actually understand, if this is the rear left plastic casing that fell off, this is what I want to be able to order, that specific part, right? Because right now, if you list it on the site, due to technical limitations, it's not always clear which part is which. And so we really just want to simplify and make it a really intuitive process for you to know what you're ordering and for us to know what you need. So that's kind of the first part that's happening behind the scenes. And Eloi, when he's back from vacation next week, he can speak a little bit more to the exploded view, is what we're calling it, that we're working on behind the scenes. The second part that's really interesting for me personally as well is that spare parts have been a gigantic pain in the ass, basically since the beginning, because not only do we change our lineup every single year, each scooter is made up of probably anywhere between 100 to 150 different parts. So you multiply that by 5-6 products, you throw in the annual changes. It's basically an incredibly complex set of inventory to forecast for, keep in stock. You then have to distribute it to a number of repair centers and repair servicing partners. So a big kind of shift in our thinking there is moving to semi-assembly in terms of parts. So Adi, maybe you can provide a bit of context on that too.
Yeah, for sure. So just to kind of follow up a little bit on what Maciek was saying. I guess the way that it works is because our scooters are built in our own assembly line, especially like the new ones, the new product line, and we're moving increasingly in that direction as the portfolio becomes fully proprietary from top to bottom. We control the production of the spare parts. They're not sourced from third parties like a lot of other scooters, and we don't have some of the manufacturing capabilities of like a Segway. Unfortunately, we're not a multi-billion-dollar company yet. It comes with a different set of challenges, right? Because if we're not producing any scooters, then we're not producing the spare parts required for those scooters. So that's kind of where we sometimes fall into this trap of being out of stock on spare parts for a while. And it's something that as we grow and as we're able to make more frequent productions, we're able to produce spare parts more frequently and kind of minimize the gaps of not having coverage on certain spare parts. That on top of the forecasting issues and the variability in the consumption of the spare parts and all that kind of stuff. And another big behind the scenes sort of background change is we're finally launching an ERP system, which is a big step up for us. We've been a little bit, I'm not gonna say behind on the technological curve, but at some point, every company reaches a certain threshold where an ERP solution, and for those who don't know, it's a very cross-functional core structural part of
a sewage system.
Of the business, and then sort of getting us to the next level. The implementation of that is going to go a long way for spare parts. And to answer your question directly, with that ERP implementation, one of the things we're looking at is being able to just more easily charge shipping as not having a flat shipping charge, but having a variable shipping charge. So for spare parts, you're not in a situation where you're paying that sort of flat fee that we currently have for shipping. I know that that's something that people don't really like. And obviously compared to Amazon, you're going to get those parts cheaper and shipped faster. And, that all comes with Prime. But we do want to kind of get in this direction where we're not charging a flat fee and we're actually kind of closer to what the actual cost is on a variable basis based on your location. And, something as simple as that, it sounds simple, but with spare parts, it's a bit more challenging just because of the systems that we don't have in place currently. But yeah, just that was kind of to answer your question more directly. But the assemblies is really interesting as well. We are increasingly moving towards making the scooters more modular. So plug and play connectors that are going to help you sort of remove a big chunk of the scooter and replace it much more easily rather than having to take it apart, remove screws. There's Loctite, there's threading, things are getting stripped, things are cracking, all of those things can happen while trying to perform a repair. So can you move in a direction where you unplug a couple wires, take that whole assembly away, and then replace a new motor by just plugging in a few wires? That would be amazing. Think about how much easier it is to repair.
Start with the handlebar, right?
Yeah, exactly. Our repair videos go from being 10 minutes to 30 seconds. And that's kind of in this direction of enabling more just easier ways to maintain the scooters. I mean, everyone knows scooters have a lot of maintenance, but for the most part, relative to maybe some of the more stable, I guess bikes have been around for quite a while. Bicycles have been around for quite a while. A lot of these other mobility options have been around for a really long time. scooters are catching up, right? So we're trying to move in this direction where we can make scooters just more easier to own and use every single day. And when things go wrong, just swap something out really quickly.
And even like it goes back to, I guess, I mean, the spare parts issue is one, but like you said, the phone support is because most people, when they need the spare part, they don't know what spare part they need to get, which takes a whole new process and it makes a terrible customer experience, right? So the video supports in that. But even more in the long-term approach, when you look at the scooters, that's what we're trying to alleviate as well as much as possible. It's like, for example, when you look at the Polo City, we've removed inner tubes with self-heating tires because maintenance and sort of maintenance is the number one pain point of electric scooter owners, and they don't realize the amount of work that needs to be done, right? Changing a spare tire or brake pads, etc. So that's why even with the production of scooters that we're doing and the innovation design, what's being worked on, the customer is always in the center of the piece, saying, how can we make this a better experience for the customer? Let's have self-heating tires. So 90% of the chance you won't get a flat. Yes, there's a small chance that you can get a cut on the side and you still have a flat, but at least, you're not going to get a flat every month or every 2 months type of thing. And then the only other solution to that is solid tires, which removes the whole comfort out of it. So we want to keep the comforts because it is a luxury vehicle at the end of the day. And the second one is brakes, right? Like the introduction of a regenerative brake is so key to long-term maintenance of a scooter in a way that just the science behind it, right? I mean, mechanical brakes or hydraulic brakes don't make any sense. You're using something to stop the speed of your scooter, and you're wearing out a brake pad rather than rebringing that energy back into the motor and recharging the battery. So yeah, that's like the long-term view of what we're trying to do in terms of all our products, is make it easier for the customer to never have an issue and literally just always have just the best experience overall, but we're just not there yet. But yeah, in progress.
Yeah. I mean, there's some other quality of life changes that we're doing. I mean, they're small. It maybe seems small, but I think kind of go a long way too, right? Like revamping our manual. We have brand new manuals with so much more information. We really spent a lot of time making sure that our manual is like a manual that you can rely on and trust when you buy a scooter and open it for the first time. You can read through it and it's actually like valuable information in there. So that's like a small thing, but it impacts literally every single customer, right?
Okay.
Yeah, ApolloCare we can talk about as well.
But on the subject of maintenance and kind of, we basically want to leverage our repair network, our locations to be able to offer services like a tune-up, right? Let's say ahead of the riding season in spring, you want to come in, get your brakes changed, get your tires changed, get your scooter cleaned, get everything, lubricated and tightened. That's very much on the roadmap too. So, maybe just to be mindful of time as well. Quality is a complicated topic. Let's put it that way. And like Chris said, in the long term, our goal is, of course, to eliminate the need for technical support altogether would be the dream, right? But we're also realistic about the fact that these are road products. They get used in real world conditions, and there will be a certain amount of wear and tear that makes it impossible for us not to deal with preventative maintenance and technical support altogether. So long story short, I'm hoping you're starting to see how kind of our investment in the app is starting to come together with some of the projects that Nadim was mentioning, which is also coming together with the repair centers that we set up last year. There is a way to connect all of these points together and really to offer a seamless and integrated technical support experience. And the exciting part is that we think that this is actually closer than not. Realistically, we're targeting this summer to be the summer of really seamless support for a lot of our existing customers.
Yeah, and I want to get to some of the questions, but I'll just make one more point. We're going to be sharing a lot more resources on preventative maintenance, like how long you should wait, or how many kilometers you should be passing before you tighten certain screws or check certain things, just to make sure that everything is where it needs to be. We're going to have a diagram of every single screw with all its values in the box, toolkit in the box, and the exploded view that Maciek mentioned is kind of an internal name that we have for this new thing we will have on the site, where you're going to be able to see like a diagram, a schematic of the scooter, and then hover over a certain part. And then if you click on that, it's going to like show you a list of every single spare part that makes up that assembly or that part of the scooter. And then you're going to be able to like add it to your cart, purchase it, and check out. So no more photos of like, hey, can you send me a zoomed in photo of like the underside of the scooter on the right? And then like drawing a little red circle on your phone to like send that. Like we're moving completely away from that. So and again, I guess to loop it back to where we started, like that all comes from the feedback that we get from our customers. Like for us, I think one of the important things is like, it's really important for me, like the negative feedback that we get, and it's super valuable because those are things that we know we need to improve on, and they really inform the decisions that we make and the priorities that we set. Because I mean, the negative stuff is really valuable in that sense, right? Like obviously we don't want to have any negativity when it comes to the company, but that's not really maybe 100% realistic. Like that, and then as well the positives, right? Like when we do get positive feedback, it tells us that we're on the right track, that we're actually doing something right. So both sides are really important in that.
Yeah, the only thing to add is next week we'll bring Eloi and we'll dive a little bit deeper into QC. There's some really tremendous work that's been done over the last 6 months, and if you haven't watched our recap of 2022 Apollo Mission podcast, I highly recommend you do. We kind of open up and share our honest thoughts on some of the learnings that we picked up in 2022. And now we're really starting to see the dividends of a lot of these learnings. You know, we're starting to see the return on a lot of the decisions that we made in Q4 of last year. So really some tremendous work being done by the QC team over in China, because we have actually 3 full-time employees inspecting every single unit that comes off the production line right now, which again, we'll dive into a bit more next week. So please stay tuned. We hope to build this into a bit of a recurring community event. But before we drop off, I see there are a couple of questions here. So just to make sure we go from the top, Phantom V3, for anyone that's not aware, is actually dropping on March 15th. No pre-orders. It's going to be available for shipping immediately, which is the first time we've ever done it this way. So yeah, kind of an interesting pivot, a pleasant surprise, we hope. And we're just getting some ESG testing data right now back in the Phantom, and it's performing beautifully. So really a fantastic product, and we hope you're excited.
Same with the Pro.
Same with the Pro. Yeah, the Pro is. We don't want to share too much yet because it's early, but we did send a version of the V5 to ESG, and they're putting it through the paces as well. And it's Paul. I hope you wouldn't mind me sharing this, but he did say that this product deserves a standing ovation, and he explicitly called Eloi and our R&D team a bunch of geniuses. So let that be a bit of a teaser for what's to come with the Pro. So speaking of the Pro, there's a question about the Beta Pro program. Basically, the way we're approaching it is that we've divided the beta program into a couple of waves. The first wave is any customer that's in a city where we have our repair centers. So New York, LA, and Montreal. We've prioritized picking customers from those markets simply because we want to be able to participate in the delivery of the products. We want to be there when those scooters get unboxed. We want to help you with the setup and make sure that if there are any questions, any surprises, we're able to address them on the spot. If we find that all goes well and there's really no concern and we're free to proceed with the larger rollout, we will be sending scooters to customers in cities where we have repair partners. Do you remember exactly what the cities were, Nadim?
It's like 10.
10. Okay, so we'll share a list maybe. So Oliver, if you haven't heard yet, stay tuned. We'll be sending an email likely next week about the timeline for that second wave. And if you're not in those 10 cities, then you'd be included in the third and final wave, which we'll likely be communicating to probably in a couple of weeks. Yeah. So we're still very much aiming to work through everyone that joined. So thanks for that, and hope you're excited.
Regen brake.
Yeah, the guesstimation is 5 to 10%. That's sort of what we share publicly about the Regen brake. That's assuming you go from 100% charged battery down to 0, and you're using the Regen brake basically for the whole duration of that riding experience. Interesting little anecdote. When we went to China with Chris a few years ago, we went to the Mini Motors factory, and they were really excited because they just started implementing the ABS braking in scooters, and it was basically the equivalent of like. I would say a jackhammer while riding a scooter. It was like a kind of experience on the scooter, and it was absolutely disastrous. So when we compare that experience in its early form and function to how the Regen brakes today, which is very progressive, very modular, and in particular how effective it is, it's a really cool feature that we're very proud of.
For sure. And it comes with less of the wear and tear that you might expect with a mechanical braking system, and then none of the maintenance and bleeding that comes with a hydraulic system.
But just to be clear, the Regen brake is really for just slowing down and riding. It's not. That's why you still have 2 brakes in the front and the back for emergencies, right? Just in case. But it's just like a game, like ESG described it. It's like a video game. When you accelerate and you decelerate, it's so smooth, and it's literally a game changer in terms of just how you drive and control your scooter. So we're really proud on that one.
Yeah. In terms of the 2023-2024 City, what we are doing with the City on Air this year is every single production batch we make, we improve things. So there will not be an official rollout of the 2023-2024 variant Really, every production we run, we take feedback from our customers and incorporate it into that production run, and we improve a few things. Sometimes they're more noticeable, sometimes they're less noticeable. Over the last few runs, we've changed some of the things in the folding mechanism. We've changed some of the electronics inside. So obviously, we've changed the throttles following the throttle feedback. So you can expect these minor changes to continue to take place, but no major overhauls planned. The only one that I can probably share is the City Single. We're working on a larger battery variant of the City Single that's going to be available later this year. So that will be the only kind of major upgrade there.
And then, yeah, the last question, Explore 2023, there's a walkthrough coming?
Yes, so it's been recorded, it's been filmed and uploaded. I think we're just waiting for the green light. I believe, Chris, I think we're on track for next week to publish that.
Next week, yeah, next week. So it's a full walkthrough with Eloi of the scooter. It's an absolutely incredible scooter, and it's just very, very cool to drive. And anyway, our goal for releasing this video to you guys is really feedback. We'd love to know what you think of the look, features, the specs. Again, it's currently in testing progress right now, and like we launch all our new products in this way, it's sort of, we're going to be launching a V1, V2, V3, V4, at least 5 variants, showing all of them on YouTube to the community, and I'm sort of sharing all of the upgrades as we go through. And then what we do after the V5 is we do, again, this is all doing the testing. It's being tested in the lab and in the factory at all times. And then after the V6 goes to a beta program in which we have 100 to 200 units on the market. And that's like the final test. The product should be perfect still by then. It should be pretty close to perfect.
Yeah.
And then
for
once
context,
that passes,
we sent the V5 to ESG, right? To give you an idea of how complete the product is in V5.
Yeah. And again, we tested in every single market, whether it's hot, cold, etc. And then after the V6 and the beta program, that's when we go and we launch a product fully. So long story short, Explore will launch the walkthrough will be next week. And stay tuned. It's absolutely incredible. The team killed it, and yeah, there's some really cool stuff to come.
Super amazing. Oh, it's kind of parked right in front of the main entrance of our office. So if you could see what I could see, then you could see it. But every day you walk in and you look at it, and it's next to the Pro, and it's just like, it's next level. It is really like the next generation of Apollo, which is super exciting. So one of the things that's really cool, I think, about this year is that there's a culmination of things that we were working on for a really long time. That's all kind of coming together really nicely. So I'm personally very excited for all the new things that are coming this year.
Yeah. We don't want to spoil the walkthrough of the Explorer too much, but let's just leave it at this. It's a completely different form factor. It's as far away from a scooter as you can get. It's I don't even know if I'll call it a scooter. It's kind of its own category of product. But we were lucky enough to be able to try riding it actually, and it's hard to go back, to be honest. We thought we were already making some pretty killer scooters before, and having tried the Explorer, it's an unprecedented experience. So
and just to add the last little piece of that is that what's really nice now is with the app, and the amount of riders who are using the scooters for the last 12 months with the app, the amount of data we get to show us how people are actually using their scooters influences enormously how we're going to create new scooters in the future. So how much of that top speed are you actually using? What's your actual range are you using? How severely are you braking over your whole ride time? Like all of these small things are being incorporated into all new products, and you'll see it makes a lot of sense. So we're really excited to share that with you guys as well. So
yeah, I'm sure Eloi would love to get on here and chat a bit specifically about the information we collect, the sensors we have in the scooter.
That could be a future episode.
Yeah,
we can walk through off the back end.
Exactly. The back end is our back end, essentially, our sort of where we're collecting all that data is really shaping up into something really exciting. So maybe a walkthrough of that could be really cool too for a future video.
Cool. And then to answer your question, Tommy, the Pro Beta is not limited to current owners. You could be new to electric scooters, and if you want to go to our website and you head on over to electric scooters, choose the Apollo Pro. There's a way to join the waiting list and be notified when additional spots are open. Really, what we're looking for is anybody who can provide valuable, insightful, and accurate feedback. So if you consider yourself somebody who will take that time, put those miles on the scooter, and can give us information in exchange, you're more than welcome to participate. So
yeah, for sure.
Video made showing all the changes in the new Phantom V3. Yes, that's scheduled for I believe next week. We're doing a V1 versus V2 versus V3 evolution. So we're going to go over all the different changes that we made since the first iteration. And how long have you been? How long have you been working on the new Explorer? How many people have been working on it? How long? I want to say, Chris, do you remember? Like a year and
A year
how
and
many
2 months, I think.
just over a year, yeah.
So far,
We got
by
the
time it
first
goes out,
sample
it's been
in,
2 years. Yeah.
I think, May of last year. We got the first sample, and it's just the iteration since then
Yeah,
and testing.
Yeah, exactly. So I mean, because of the fact that we have limited resources, our focus has been really to get the Pro finalized and get it to a stage where it's beta testing ready. Now that we have this bit of a break, because we're just waiting for the first 150, 200 units to be produced, shipped, and then dispatched, and ultimately the feedback to be collected. We have a few month window to shift our resources towards working on the Explorer. So that's really what's happening right now behind the scenes. In terms of how many people have been working on it, well, it would be our
R&D team.
yeah, exactly, industrial designer, Elwa, our mechanical engineer, our mechanical engineer in China, so I would say probably a good 6-person team has been kind of actively involved in the prototyping. And now we're starting to see more and more people participate, because of the marketing team, the operations team, everyone who's supporting.
Yeah, and I guess the entire company as well is always involved in that too. Like, we are taking feedback that we get through the videos, through the marketing team, through like our customer interactions, the dev team as well, looking at what's coming in from the back end. Like, all that information is all going towards the same place to feed the future productions and creating products that are smarter, faster, better built, solve all the customers' needs, and kind of match how people use the products too. So it all kind of feeds the machine as well.
Absolutely. And Luciano, we would never dare to kill the old Apollo Pro 60 volt. It's a legendary model, and you're lucky to be one of the few people that have it.
Cool. But yeah, I would say maybe just like a final note. We're hoping to do this every Friday, and there's a lot of topics to cover. I think we've been really quiet, kind of maybe a bit quiet for a while on some things that we've been working on in the background, and super excited to continue to like talk about them.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot happening all the time at Apollo. It's kind of nuts, the amount of projects that are going on and the things that we are working towards. So bringing those front and center is going to be super interesting. And I guess the last thing would be, if you have any ideas, if you have any topics that you want us to cover in detail, please let us know. Yeah, on Reddit or Facebook. Our Reddit. Yeah, why not? Let's put everything centralized on the Apollo Reddit.
Right, Apollo Official is the subreddit handle. So just feel free to find us. We've set up a new account because we want to, or a new thread, because we really want to focus on having this interaction with the community. So feel free to drop any questions there or in the Facebook group. Yeah. Cool. All right. Well, thanks very much, Nadim, Chris. Always a pleasure with you guys. To everyone who's tuned in, we saw Trent, we saw a few other people. It was really, really great to hear from you. We hope to see you again next Friday, 1:30 p.m. Eastern. Otherwise, thank you so much, and take care, everyone.
Yeah, Chris, take care of your plants.
Bye, everyone. Thank you.
All right, bye, everyone.
Bye.